Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining. We're going to do a video tonight on the downward facing dog. This particular pose is a pose that if you're a yoga practitioner, you've definitely done the downward facing dog once or twice. Even if you're not a yoga practitioner, you've either done downward facing dog without knowing it was downward facing dog, or you know someone who's done downward facing dog, or you know a dog who's done downward facing dog. But one way or another, you've definitely heard of the pose or seen the pose. In this particular video, I want to teach you how to get the alignment correct in this pose and teach you a few of the benefits of the pose and overall how to get the most out of the alignment and how to connect to most of the benefits in the pose. A great starting point for downward facing dog is the child's pose, because this lengthens the arms, the diaphragm, the rib cage, and the chest into the position that they're going to be in for the downward facing dog. Once you've had a couple breaths in child's pose, tuck the toes under, pull the hips up and stretch back, land in your heels, flex your legs, flex your hamstrings rather, and pull the body weight out of your arms. Do this for a few breaths to start. Slowly lower down to your knees and lengthen back over your heels. You can repeat this cycle through a few times. This is an awesome pose for when you get up in the morning and your body feels really tight and you need something to open everything up. The downward facing dog is the pose for you. It's a great pose to just get the day started because you open up everything. The hamstrings are always a problem area for most people, especially if you're an athlete. Even if you're not an athlete, sometimes we're sedentary. You may have a desk job or you may just work out. The hamstrings will tend to shorten a little bit, and the downward facing dog will address that. From the front here, you see the pose. Look at the fingertips here, and the fingertips spread out, hips pull up, and you're pulling your body weight out of your arms and then down to your heels. This will take all the tension off of your wrist, off of your elbows, off your shoulders. Pulling back, lengthening your diaphragm, opening your chest, deep breaths here. Once you've done a few full breaths, you're going to bring the knees down to the mat and land softly in a child's pose. So the child's pose, you'll start there, and then it's a great way to also end in the child's pose, just to keep that length in the arms and keep the lungs open nice and wide. I love to do this pose for about a cycle of 5 full breaths, breathing in and out through your nose. In the child's pose, you'll particularly feel the torso rising up and down off of your legs as you're breathing. Tuck the toes under and flex and squeeze the top of the thighs and tighten the legs here. And yes, I said tighten in a yoga video. Tighten the legs because this will get you to lock that alignment in and stabilize your joints. Pull into the center of your thighs and feel the strength igniting in your legs and down to your heels. Lengthen through your arms, spread out your fingertips. Enjoy this pose. Breathe deep in this one because your arms are stretched out over your shoulders. So this is a great opportunity to breathe really deep into the lungs while the arms are over the shoulders, lengthening the diaphragm and opening the lungs even deeper. I love to have the heels push down as far as they'll go. What most people will find here is that their heels will only go down so far because the hamstrings and the calves are generally a little bit tighter. That's okay. So if you need to have just a little bit of a bend in your knees on this one, or bringing your feet forward a little bit more to take some of the pressure off of your calves and your hamstrings, adjust the pose as needed. The most important thing here is to make sure that the body weight is being pulled back to your legs and not down into your hands. As you can see here in the video, the arms are being lengthened back out of the palms as opposed to the body weight crashing forward into the wrist and putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on your wrist bone, your elbows, and your shoulders. So we want to lengthen everything and open everything up and increase the blood flow that's moving through the body. one of the major things that I see happen a lot of times here is people get into this pose and the body weight is distributed uneven. So I recommend that once you get situated in the pose and you get comfortable doing the pose, practice the awareness of pulling the body back to the legs. Pull all the body weight back to your legs and feel the torso lengthening out, as opposed to just sitting in the pose and letting the pose happen. Consciously pull the body weight back into your legs, and this will help you get a lot out of the pose. It's also a great strengthener for your arms, hips, thighs, and it's going to stretch out your heels and give a little bit more, stretch out your ankles rather, and give a little bit more mobility to your overall ankle, your foot, knees, and your hips. So if you're an athlete, or if you're someone that does the squat in the weight room, one of the weightlifters, and you're doing the deadlift, pull-ups, bench pressing, a lot of shoulder pressing, those muscles are going to tend to tighten up a little bit, right? And you'll feel that tension sometimes. This is a great pose you can even do in between your sets while you're lifting weights, or after the workout when you get home. But again, my favorite time to get into downward facing dog is in the morning, right when you get out of bed, and just open the body up and start the day off with a little bit of yoga. It's a great thing. Deep breaths, spread the fingertips, open up the hands, breathe deep here. Enjoy this pose. Tuck the chin down towards your chest here to lengthen the neck out. Sit back in your heels and just enjoy the effects of the pose. And remember, the pose is going to feel a little different for everybody because everyone's body is shaped a little different. So have a nice day. I'm glad you joined in. We'll see you soon. Namaste.